Hey, buddy, let's stop pretending for a second that everything is better than it really is. Cheating is not a mistake. It's not a momentary lapse or a random weakness. It's a choice, actually, a series of choices. And no matter how skilled a woman is at hiding it, no woman cheats without leaving traces. The problem is most men ignore these traces, not because they don't see them, but because they don't want to believe them. They choose hope over facing the signs right in front of them. But the truth is, a woman who cheats always leaves traces in her behavior, her tone of voice, her energy. You just need to know how to notice it without waiting for her to admit it. The first thing that changes isn't her actions. It's her presence. And if you're emotionally strong, you'll feel this shift even before seeing any physical signs. Suddenly, she becomes less affectionate, less accessible. She's still around, still going through the routine, but her aura has cooled. She used to look at you warmly. Now she barely looks at you. She used to sit close. Now there's distance. You ask her if something's wrong, and she says, "I'm fine, just tired," or in a weird mood. But what she's actually doing is emotionally withdrawing. Her body may be next to you, but her mind is elsewhere. And this detachment is the beginning of betrayal. She hasn't yet gathered the courage to admit it. Then comes the defensive phase. A loyal woman doesn't freak out over simple questions. But a woman hiding something starts seeing even innocent questions as threats. Where were you? Who were you messaging? Questions about trust become lectures. You weren't blaming her. You were simply noticing. But guilt redirects the spotlight back on you so she doesn't have to confront what she's done. That's why she calls you controlling or accuses you of being toxic. But what's really happening is you're too close to the truth, and her ego can't handle it. The phone becomes a fortress. Classic move. And yet men still overlook it. She used to leave her phone around comfortably. Now, it's always face down. Notifications suddenly disappear. She starts taking her phone to the bathroom. Her surroundings, her behaviors, they change. Not because she has something to hide from the world, but because she has something to hide from you. A faithful woman doesn't act suspicious with her phone or attract another man's attention. She naturally shares her digital life. But if you notice sudden tension or protective behavior, don't ignore it. Now let's talk about projection. A cheating woman will often accuse you of the same things. Are you seeing someone else? Or, why have you been distant lately? At first, it may seem like insecurity, but if you dig deeper, you'll notice she's trying to ease her own guilt. If she can convince herself you're doing dark deeds too, her betrayal feels less heavy. It's a psychological defense mechanism. But, to a careful man, it flashes like a red warning light, because emotionally, mentally, or physically, she has already crossed a line. Another often overlooked sign is subtle condescension. Her tone becomes colder, jokes sharper. She talks to you with less warmth. Instead of addressing issues directly, she starts showing passive-aggressive behavior. Why? Because in her mind, the problem is now you. She needs to justify her betrayal. She paints you as emotionally unavailable, boring, or incompatible. So she doesn't feel guilty. And if you don't resist, you start believing it too, trying harder, over-explaining, competing with a ghost you didn't even know existed. This is how men destroy themselves, not through the cheating, but by trying to fix something untouched. A merciless, yet undeniable sign. Her emotional energy isn't what it used to be. She used to come to you with everything. Thoughts, feelings, stress, stories. You were her emotional outlet. Now she's vague, superficial, saying things like, "It's not important," or "I don't want to talk about it." It's not that she has less to say. It's that she's sharing it elsewhere. Emotional cheating often begins long before physical betrayal. And when another man experiences the same emotional connection, the access you once had starts migrating her heart. The worst part? She won't even see it as betrayal. What was once yours becomes just a harmless connection. Another thing men often dismiss: sudden changes in appearance. Not normal grooming or growth, but sudden spikes, new underwear, a wardrobe that doesn't reflect the woman you've known for years, new perfume, a dramatic hairstyle. And here's the key: none of it is for you. She isn't inspired by your feedback. She isn't dressing to get your attention. Sometimes, when you mention it, she gets irritated. Why? Because she's testing how she feels in someone else's orbit. You're no longer her mirror. Compliments no longer affect her, because they're no longer the ones she craves. Then chaos emerges. Arguments over nothing. Irritation over small habits. She seems annoyed simply by your presence. And the craziest part? She's the one acting differently. But you? There's someone to blame. This isn't a coincidence. It's emotional displacement. Guilt, tension, cognitive dissonance need somewhere to go. So she dumps it on you. If you fall for it, you waste energy fixing chaos you didn't create. And that's exactly what she wants. Because as long as you focus on your problem, she avoids facing the reality of what's happening. Watch how she talks about the relationship. When a woman cheats, her language changes. She starts saying things like, "I need time for myself. I don't know what I want anymore. Maybe we're moving too fast." These aren't always signs of infidelity, but combined with other red flags, they show emotional withdrawal. She's planting seeds of separation, not because she wants space, but because she needs a reason. She softens a blow she hasn't yet delivered. If you pay attention, you'll see she isn't confused. She's planning her exit. One of the eeriest signs: indifference. Not anger, not sadness, not even coldness. Just emotional neutrality. You make a mistake, and she doesn't care. You affect her, and she doesn't respond. She stops reacting because she's already detached. At least anger shows investment. Indifference tells you everything in her mind is over. While you try to rekindle the fire, she quietly mourns a relationship she has decided to leave. You just haven't been informed yet. Late-night distance. Once she'd cuddle, talk, fall asleep easily together. Now she stays awake later than ever, browsing her phone, surfing the internet, texting friends. The warmth is gone. Small rituals like falling asleep in your arms or saying goodnight meaningfully slowly disappear. Why? Because they aren't part of her new connection. While she emotionally withdraws, you fall asleep beside her body. But her mind is elsewhere. You're sharing a bed with the ghost of the woman she used to be. One of the most telling signs: how she reacts to your achievements. Got a promotion, reached a personal goal, started improving your body, work, or discipline? She used to celebrate with you, excited, supportive, proud. Now she acts unaffected, changes the topic. Why? Because your growth threatens the emotional leverage she's trying to maintain. If she's already cheating or emotionally drifting, seeing you become more attractive, confident, and valuable without her makes her feel unbalanced. In some cases, she might even try to sabotage your momentum with sarcasm or jokes. But it's not really about the jokes. It's about your rise highlighting her fall. Another subtle but cruel shift: the way she talks about the man you once knew. Suddenly, she rewrites history. "You never made me feel seen. You were always emotionally distant." This has been building for a long time, but the key is, in a deep bond, These weren't issues. These are stories she constructs to legitimize her betrayal. If she portrays you as the reason she left, she avoids taking responsibility for choosing someone else. It's a mind game, and if you don't challenge it, you start apologizing for a version of yourself that never existed. Physical intimacy changes too. A woman thinking of cheating or already cheating dramatically changes her body language. She flinches at your touch, stops hugging, kissing, or getting close. When you reach for her, she pulls back. When you physically connect, she seems to go through the motions without feeling it. Sometimes this isn't about the other man. It's her guilt. But either way, your body represents a relationship she's emotionally abandoned. And while you try to reignite the spark, she quietly burns bridges. Her phone habits shift. Awkward silence. She used to laugh loudly, show you funny pictures, include you in entertainment. Now she turns away, hides the screen, types fast, deletes faster. No transparency. She treats her phone like a sacred object, and merely looking feels invasive. This isn't privacy. It's secrecy. Faithful women don't hide their digital life. Delayed responses. She used to reply instantly, cared about every message or missed call. Now hours pass. Conversations die midway. You see her online, laughing with others, but she leaves you read. Ask why, and it's just busy. Busy isn't stopping her from scrolling Instagram or laughing at another man's story. It's emotional displacement. You're no longer the priority. You're an option. And a woman treating you like an optional presence, even if unspoken, prepares for your absence. Rarely discussed, emotional betrayal. A cheating woman often stops being your confidant. She used to listen when stressed, give you space when needed. Now she doesn't listen, doesn't ask, doesn't care. Worse, if you open up, she uses vulnerability against you. Feeling anything makes you feel weak. Not just emotional distance, emotional abuse. Most men think they need to toughen up. No, brother. You need to notice that the woman next to you no longer feels emotionally safe. Rarely mentioned, changing friend groups. A woman flirting with or committing to cheating often surrounds herself with women who encourage or engage in this behavior. Girl nights increase, but details decrease. You hear less about where they went, who they were with, what happened. Even meeting her friends can feel off. Smiles, weird glances, tension. Why? Because they know. Protect her. Maybe disapprove, but fear speaking. Either way, you're blocked from the truth. Another sign, she stops making future plans with you. Holidays, celebrations, even next weekend suddenly become vague. We'll see, or not sure yet. Previously, she loved dreaming together, visualizing what you'd build. Now, the future unsettles her because she doesn't know if you'll be in it. She emotionally freezes you while testing someone else. If that connection solidifies, she won't tell you. While you wait for plans, she slips away. Coldness. She stops noticing your absence. You come home late, she doesn't ask. You keep distance for a few days. She doesn't check. Pull back to test the situation, and she pushes further. This isn't space. It's emotional rupture. You feel it intuitively. Even when physically present, you feel alone. The silent gap between you marks the start of infidelity. Not always in bed, but in her soul. Suddenly independent. I need myself. Focusing on me. Learning to love myself again. At first glance, empowering. You want to support her journey but watch her actions. If independence means excluding you emotionally, if she uses personal growth as emotional distance without accountability, it's not transformation, it's a transition. She's preparing to alter your emotions but expects applause. Don't be fooled by spiritual language. If it feels like separation, it is. Another dangerous warning. She reacts with irritation to your presence. Everything you do, habits, jokes, routines, suddenly annoys her. You haven't changed, but she has no patience for you. Why? She's comparing everything to another man she's emotionally invested in. Your existence becomes a constant reminder of what she's abandoning. She justifies it by using normal behavior as leverage. Walking on eggshells around a woman who once admired you doesn't mean chemistry is off. It means loyalty evaporated. The last shift before departure, emotional shutdown. She stops sharing, stops controlling, stops caring about your day, what you build, how you feel. You become invisible. And the cruelest part? She doesn't even seem guilty. Acts as if this has always been her state, as if love was never this deep, as if it wasn't real. But it's selective detachment. She learned how to exclude you while keeping the illusion of a relationship, because leaving would force her to face her actions. And as long as you stay, she remains silent, claiming the first break was yours. One of the most destructive signs of a woman cheating or being emotionally involved elsewhere. She stops respecting your presence. She enters a room and doesn't notice you. Talks to you like a roommate, not a partner. Makes decisions without you. This doesn't mean newfound independence. She's already relegated you to the background without even being ruthless. And that's what makes it worse. Not overt disrespect, but silent distancing. Emotionally packing her bags in front of you, while you still try to understand if she's in a phase. Here's the part most men refuse to admit. You feel it, deep in your chest, in your gut, in that silent space between her silence and your effort. You know something is off. But instead of confronting it, you rationalize, just tired, stressed, distant. Let me tell you, buddy, women don't pull away for no reason. If she's withdrawing, it's either self-restriction or fear to tell the truth. Either way, silence isn't your friend. Avoidance lets betrayal grow in the shadows. Your instincts were made to survive. Trust them. Another painful sign. Suddenly playing the victim in every conversation. You voice concerns, and she turns it into an attack. You want transparency, she calls you controlling. You feel disconnected, she says you're too sensitive. It's not just defensiveness, it's manipulation. Changing the narrative to avoid responsibility. And the more you communicate like a man, the more she punishes you emotionally, because deep down, she knows she's wrong. But as long as she can make you doubt yourself, she never has to accept the truth. The final test. She emotionally controls you, but still wants you near when it suits her. Why? Because you're reliable, consistent. If another man fails, you're the fallback. The painful truth, she keeps you close enough you can't leave, but distant enough so you're no longer a threat to her freedom. She hovers above you with a smirk, while you chase clarity. And that's when, brother, you must stop chasing answers and start protecting your dignity. You know it's time to leave. Not when she confesses. She probably won't. Not when you catch her. By then, it's too late. You leave when you realize you've become the afterthought in your own relationship. When your energy is no longer valued, your presence no longer affects her, your instincts keep screaming, while your fear of being alone silences you. That's when you walk away. Not to punish her, not to make her miss you, but to honor the man who no longer belongs in a space built on lies, secrecy, and emotional withdrawal. And finally, brother, when you walk away from a woman quietly betraying you, you reclaim your power, not by revenge or self-justification, but by honorably releasing your energy. A closure is not needed from someone who closed the door with their actions. Confessions aren't needed. What's needed is clarity. And here's the clarity. A cheating woman always leaves traces, but a man with self-respect never expects her to say it out loud. He acts quietly, decisively, and the day she realizes what she's lost, she will never see the man she played again. The man she can never reach will be the one she sees.